This is Radio Now 95.3 FM. Come for the news, stay for informed conversations. Now breakfast.
Despite several policies and attempts to reverse the slide of the Naira's value to the dollar, Nigeria's currency saw a steady, weak performance in financial markets through the month of September. As part of its drive to stabilize the Naira, the central bank announced the introduction of the electronic foreign exchange matching system, which will be implemented on the 1st of December 2024. To understand what this means, I'm joined by Oluwasomi Akoshile, who's an economist. Good morning and welcome to the conversation, Mr. Akoshile.
Yeah, good morning. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining me. Let's start off with this electronic foreign exchange matching system. The CBN announced it on the 3rd of October. What exactly does it mean?
Okay. Thanks for the question. So really, if you've been following the activities of the CBN, particularly since the new administration took in, especially within the last 6-7 months, I've noticed that there's been a flurry of policies from them, and a major parts of those policies has really been tilted towards, the FX markets, looking at, how the Naira has performed year to date and even prior to when the administration took in. So, the electronic foreign exchange matching system really is just a mechanism where there would be that what's it called, interference in the market through a system that will be feasible, to all from the interbank point of view, right? And the policy is very clear, and it stipulates that authorized dealers would bid, and those what's it called, retailers would bid through them, and the bids would be very transparent and would be reflected on the system where it's feasible to all, and it should be reflective of real-time prices. As the bids are coming in, that system would reflect the bids, right? What the CBN has been trying to do really is create that transparency in the FX markets, bolster liquidity, get rid of the opacity we used to see.
So let me ask you this, Mr. Akoshile. The CBN has carried out a number of different measures over the last few months. And despite certain metrics, so for instance, our foreign exchange reserves hitting, I think, about $38 million or so, despite a billion, and despite selling of millions of dollars to the market, to the financial markets, despite whether you want to call it a full flotation, partial flotation, whatever it is that we want to discuss, right? Despite all these measures, we saw the Naira perform at between 1,500 to 1,600 and even more. The last sale of dollars to the markets from the CBN was at 1,500 and I think it was 60 Naira. And despite this, we have the Naira to the dollar performing at 1,600 and I think it has hit up to 80 Naira this week. And this is already in October. What's the likelihood that this latest measure is actually going to reverse the trend or stabilize at least the exchange rate?
Okay, so really, with the flurry of policies we've seen, unfortunately, right, if you look year-to-date performance of the Naira, there's been a depreciation of about 80%. We started the year at below 1,000 Naira, at both markets, and unfortunately now we're 1,700. And again, the last monetary policy meeting, I think the governor made it clear and he gave some very poignant, narrative of their concerns as regards the FX market, and made it clear that they are making efforts to to stabilize the markets, improve liquidity in the market, the transparency, eliminate speculation. However, what the measures they are bringing or the policies they are enacting would only be as effective as the fundamentals, right? And he made it clear that, the fundamentals are still, very gloomy, and whatever measures they would bring would just be stopgaps to just try to cushion the effects from a short to medium term perspective, that was very key. Just not necessarily trying to exonerate, their efforts or their non-performance. If you look at it from, the value of the Naira year to date, vis-a-vis the dollar. So, that seems to be very clear because, the fundamentals are still very, very, very gloomy. They're looking at our mainstay, which is oil. Oil production still performing woefully. If you look at our export earnings, still very dependent on oil, and that production level current production level needs to be ramped up. We urgently need to get back to pre-pandemic levels. There also needs to be that that push from the fiscal authorities in stabilizing the economy with respect to attracting foreign direct investments, right? Yeah, we've seen a bit of accretion to the FX reserves, and mainly that's been as a result of policy rate hikes that has been reflected on our fixed income instruments and foreign portfolio investments coming in. But that's just going to be for the short term, really, because those monies would very soon. Those instruments would mature, and portfolio investors can obviously begin to repatriate their funds, right? Especially if we don't keep our yields elevated, So, those fundamentals would need to be dealt with. Hopefully, some of these measures would sort of boost diaspora remittances to the levels where we used to see, particularly through the official channels, So, if we have all of that, speaking to the fundamentals, if we have those factors pick up significantly, I think they will begin to support and corroborate the moves of the CBN in terms of this policy. If you recall that sometimes in August they introduced the retail Dutch auction system, right? So just within a month or barely 2 months, they're introducing the EMS system. So I think it's commendable. It's a step in the right direction from the central bank. However, the fundamentals needs to be dealt with. Yeah.
Well, Mr. Akoshile, thank you so much for joining me on the conversation today. I appreciate your thoughts. Oluwasomi Akoshile is an economist who's just joined me to speak on the performance of the Naira in the financial markets, hitting the weakest performance on a steady through the month of September. However, the central bank has now introduced an electronic foreign exchange matching system, which they hope will introduce more transparency into the system, into the financial markets, and its performance. The expectations are that this new matching system will begin implementation on the 1st of December 2024.
This is Radio Now 95.3 FM. Come for the news, stay for informed conversations.